Well, you all know what night it is. Thursday Night Live with Soaring Profits. I'm Patrick, as always. My dancing little bear down there in the corner, James. We are super thrilled to have you. And as always, we pride ourselves on bringing amazing people to the forefront. And this is no exception. Unveiling the stories of champions. We got a fantastic guest tonight, Sebastian of Exodus Watches from my old neck of the woods down in Guelph, Ontario, brought to us by our favorite, Lisa Browning. We haven't chatted with Lisa in a while. We got to get in touch with her, but she is a fantastic woman who is constantly bringing amazing people together, showcasing their story. And she brought us Sebastian, who in the short period of time that we've gotten to know him, his personal story is amazing. His ability to transition from his own personal, let's call it strife, his problem, where he was in his life, trying to figure out what was going to be next for him. And now is adapted into Exodus Watch Company, where he's focused on driving an online watch sales business, but doing it for the most amazing purpose. And that's being able to help finance some of the expenses of our mental health problem that we have here in North America, in Western society. And Sebastian, first of all, pal, I want to thank you so much for joining us. When Lisa sends us people, we always know that they're going to be superheroes. And again, your short little story that we got from you before we came on here, we know you're going to fit the bill. Sebastian, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about Exodus Watch Company and give us your backstory, pal. Who are you? What are you? And why is it important?
Yeah, of course. So just getting a little bit of background chatter there. Thank you so much, James and Pat, for having me. I love what you guys are about. And essentially, what I'm about is, sorry, there's a little bit of background noise.
Oh, sorry, pal.
We're not hearing it, Sebastian, so it's all good.
Yep.
Okay. It might be just on your end. You're doing great. So Sebastian, I understand that you kind of started out in the field of boxing back in the day. You were like quite a boxer. Like, what level of boxing did you do?
Yeah, so essentially I'm a competitive boxer. I started right after high school. I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do with myself after high school. All I wanted to know is that I wanted to punch stuff. And I've always admired the sport of boxing, watching the greats like Iron Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Ali, of course, Joe Frazier. And I jumped into the sport, and I wanted to be able to compete at a level without knowing anything beforehand, and I wanted to just get in there. And I did 2 years of putting my heart and soul into that sport, just training day in, day out, 5 days a week for 2 years. Eventually, I got to a point where I wanted to move on to the next chapter of my life, and I decided that I wanted to take up fitness and health promotion in Toronto College, college in Toronto. And when I went to Humber, in my second year, I was coming from a point in my life where I felt invincible. When I was boxing, I trained physically and mentally to a point where I felt unstoppable, really. As cliche as it sounds, it felt like, I had the world in my palm. I was going to college there, and it felt like, like I was in the best shape of my life. It felt like nothing could stop me. So fast forward a little bit, I'm in my second year. Certain things started happening that were indicators of my later struggle with mental health, and that was essentially getting sick. Just having common headaches, just common flus. And what I would do to myself was I created a loop of health anxiety. And let me tell you right now, the worst thing you can do when you're in that point in place in mind is Google your symptoms. So I fell victim to Googling my symptoms. And when I got into that, what I fell into just this state of it felt like there was a flaw inside of me. And coming from a place of this feeling of coming from boxing where I, stepped in a ring, fighting against someone in a room of 100 plus people to a point where, I couldn't handle being sick. It created triggers. And what happened was I started fixating on it. And it got to a point where I just couldn't function properly. Like every single day I was having these anxious thoughts, like what's going on with me? Is there something wrong with me? I actually felt detached from myself. And I was fixating on it constantly, like what's wrong with me? Like how can I get over this? And at its worst, James and Pat, I couldn't go 3-4 minutes without having those thoughts for the entire day. And when you're in that state day in, day out, going through that, it gets to a point where it starts feeling hopeless.
Right.
It starts feeling hopeless. And at one point I thought to myself, like, wow, how am I going to live the rest of my life like this? Like I'm going to have to find a way to live like this, right? Because I didn't know what to do with myself. And when you're in that state, just can't, that's all you can focus on are those anxious thoughts, those constant anxious thoughts. And, you're trying to figure out headache equals brain tumor, things like that just trigger your like health anxiety. And it's just day in and day out of that constantly. And eventually I got to a point where, I knew I needed to make a change. I knew I needed to make a change. I didn't necessarily know how or why, I knew my why. I didn't know how, right? When you're coming from that point, things become very, very despairing, very hopeless. One thing I knew was that, it was going to take a long time, and I was going to have to put the work in.
Right.
And I'm no stranger to hard work. There was a lot of factors that helped me get to a better place. Having a strong support system, taking antidepressants, seeking counseling. Me personally, what helped the most was dealing with the construct of time and how I can use time to my benefit, because I always told myself, things are going to get better with time. It's going to take time. Time was always that one constant in my life, and I knew I needed to focus on that aspect of time, how I can use it. And, like I said, there was a multitude of factors that helped me get better. But when I would have these moments where I would have these anxious thoughts, I would just take a minute, sit down. And what I actually did was I was always a watch guy. Spoiler alert. I would watch the seconds tick by on a watch.
Right.
And that kind of helped me just be mindful of the situation and just ground myself. And I'd watch the seconds tick by and I'd say to myself, every second that I see tick by is 1 second that I'm closer to getting better. And that repetitive way of thinking was really, I found to be really helpful for me. And that, of course, on its own, it was really a combination of multiple factors. Having that support system, having that mindfulness with the watch. There were so many things that helped me get to a better place. And that construct of time was something that really resonated with me for so long. And, eventually it did get better. And I remember, like I mentioned before, circling back, I couldn't go 2 or 3 minutes for the entire day without having these anxious thoughts and panic attacks. And I remember those periods got longer and longer. It turned from 3-4 minutes to 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and eventually I remember there was a whole day that went by where I didn't have those anxious thoughts like that. I was flawed. Something was wrong with me. I'm gonna die soon. And day that I didn't have, I realized the next day that I didn't have those thoughts. And that day that I realized that was the day that I felt like I won. And, you know, coming from a boxing background, that was, you know, the hardest fight of my life. It felt like it was the longest, most enduring fight. And, you know, it took well over a year. And it was just that constant repetition of working towards better, understanding that things are going to get better, but it's just going to take time. And putting that work in, I found to be super helpful for me. And I wanted to find a way to give back to the community. Having that watch helped me or spark something, and it created an opportunity for me to realize that I can give back. You know, what can I do? Well, I can, you know, make a watch that focuses on connecting has with mental health. And with every sale, you know, we can donate $10 to the CMHA Waterloo Wellington, which are proud partners, and they're incredibly talented and team there. And our donations, we feel like will help better mental health resources and make them more accessible. And on top of our donation, we want to take care in our community, because community is a strong core value for our brand. And we want to support events like Shoppers Run for Women and other. We've helped sponsor charity golf tournament. We want to, because it's not just selling watches, it's about community involvement too. With bettering mental health resources and improving ability, it takes a village at the end of the day.
That's amazing. There's so much to unpack there, Sebastian. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I think your story is such an interesting thing. Patrick is absolutely right. Lisa Browning is one of those amazing people that everyone should meet. She is not only an incredible bringer of people together, but she also is a gifted storyteller and linking stories. Now, we understand from the talk in the green room that that's kind of how we met you, is through Lisa, but you met Lisa in an interesting way. Could you tell us a little bit about how you met Lisa and what that kind of, how that helped you a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So I first met Lisa through actually CMHA Waterloo Wellington. When you work within the mental health field, you connect yourself with like-minded individuals, right? Because we all have the same goal in the end, and that's to improve mental health resources and increase the accessibility. And I found that Lisa was writing a book that was focused on storytelling, and storytelling was something that I'd grown to be so fond of over the years, and it really resonated with me. And she wanted my story in her book, and I was 100% on board. And you know, years ago, when I was going through my mental health challenges, I felt more closed in. I felt isolated. I didn't want to share my story. I kept it bottled in. There was, you know, a stigma associated with sharing your mental health, as I'm sure you are both aware. Eventually, I got to a point of realization where it's like, wait a minute, hold on. No, I need to share my story, because, you know, there are other people that can relate to it, and they might feel the same way that I felt, but sometimes they're just looking for someone to connect with at the end of the day, and find that there is someone else that's, you know, going through similar experiences to me. No, I'm not crazy. There are people out there that are going through these challenges. So having a platform to share stories, I think, is so important. So when I heard that Lisa was looking to write a book about sharing mental health stories, and she wanted me to share my story in her book, I was 100% on board. And I was so thankful to meet her, because I think what she does is so incredible and needed in our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's absolutely super important. Sorry, Pat, you'll get in there, I'm sure. No, that's absolutely important. So we've had quite a few people who have been in these collaboration books with her, and they all say the same thing. And I felt that way. I suffered from mental health in a younger day, and I still do. Like, mental health is one of those things that never goes away. You can say that you get better, and you do, but you still have those moments, those days where it feels like you've slipped behind. But you're absolutely right. If you can look at that time, and that's what I usually do. I picture it on a mountain. So you're on the mountain and you're no longer at the bottom of the mountain looking up at that storm, that evil thing that is attacking you every day. You're now in the middle, and you can look back and go, yeah, but I'm not down there. Just like you said, it's not every second of the day anymore. Now I go days without it, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And as a man, and particularly, that's how I felt anyway. I'm not supposed to share my turmoil. I'm not supposed to tell people. Like, if I tell anyone that I'm suffering, that I'm sad, I would get ridiculed. I would get, especially I'm a 53-year-old man. It's different, I think, for an older man. Maybe not. Did you find that when you first told your story, like the people that we've talked to, some of them have had horrible occurrences of sexual assault or some other mental health issues, stuff like that. They talk about that moment, that fear of the first time they were going to tell someone that they're suffering. Can you talk about your experience with that and what you thought was going to happen and what actually did happen?
Yeah, so the first time that I shared my story publicly was to partner with CMHA Waterloo Wellington. My partner, of course, knows of my challenges. We've had, a business coach, from Conestoga, who's immensely helpful building our brand. Knows my story, but that's, like you said, more private. So publicly sharing my story was our pitch to partner with the CMHA Waterloo Wellington. So I felt like I made myself vulnerable, but I needed to make myself vulnerable because these are people who can help facilitate that change. And I was very nervous to do that because it was a very big step for me, especially, like you said, coming from that point where you're on the mountain and talking about it so stigmatized. You're talking about it like when you're kind of at the base of the mountain, it's so off your radar that you're not thinking about telling anybody, or you're thinking, how the hell can I get up another 5 feet up this mountain, right? You're not talking about your stories, nowhere on your mind. So eventually you get to a point where, okay, you realize I need to share my story. And this team is our team of passionate and talented individuals within CMHA who can kind of facilitate this and make this happen. And, I can connect with these like-minded individuals and create opportunities and a network of people, all in the name of helping better mental health resources and accessibility. It was nerve-wracking to say the least, of course, but I felt like it was something that definitely needed to happen, 100%. And I'm a believer of always being out of your comfort zone or trying to be comfortable when you're uncomfortable is what I like to say, because I feel like that's where as an individual.
Well, Sebastian, you've certainly stepped out of your comfort zone in doing, talks like this. You talked a little bit about your initial story with Canadian Mental Health Association, and one of the pieces that I took away from your conversation at the very beginning there was that you would sit and you would watch the seconds tick by as a coping strategy, as a mechanism to move forward. And now you've created Exodus Watch Company. So the profiteers out there know that I'm a little bit more on the business angle of things. And that's, I think that's a beautiful marriage. You have this watch company. Like, James, if you want to pull up the website, let's take a look at some of the products these folks are offering. And again, the products are fantastic. You have personalization options for these products, and you're supporting the Canadian Mental Health Association with a profit donation that's going back to them. Can you talk a little bit about what that partnership looks like? Why, first of all, I think we kind of got the why it's sort of important to you, but if you can get to the product page there, pal, we can see what we have as far as the actual watches themselves. Like, those are sexy looking watches, pal. You've done a great job. And as far as putting a product out there, I like the black one personally. I'm a little bit more black on black kind of style. I know
the black one has been our most popular for sure.
I believe it. Like, that's a slick looking timepiece. So you're selling these online. You've brought these in, and now you're in a position where you're you're monogramming these for individuals. When somebody orders from you, how does that process go? Are you purchasing directly from the website? Do you have other affiliates? How is that working from a business sense?
So predominantly 90% of our sales, give or take, is through our website. We are looking to launch more into the B2B aspect, which is a little bit different, but general consumers will buy from our website. We offer free engraving with our watches. So on the right there was an option to add an engraving.
Yep.
Relating back to kind of the emphasis of storytelling, because every individual has their own story that they want to share. So we thought that, having that option to have someone share their story, the means of an engraving was a very unique thing for us to do. So
absolutely,
we wanted to do that. And essentially all you do is click a few buttons and hit purchase. But no, you select what engraving you want, and essentially we offer free shipping as well. You pick one engraving, and then we can ship it out within 2 days.
Well, I think they're fantastic watches. Again, the story behind them, and this is the thing now in the consumer sentiment when you look around of products, is that you can have a fantastic watch, but if you can't tell a story, if you can't get a brand recognition that goes along with it, you're dead in the water. And I think you've done a great job marrying the two things, and something that obviously is very personally important to you. When you approach the Canadian Mental Health Association, you say, hey, we're a watch brand. We'd love to have a conversation with you. How do you break down that barrier? How do you get through the door as opposed to just being like, hey, you have a huge market, a huge brand name. We'd like to get in front of your audience of X numbers of thousands of people with the brand recognition. There's some barriers to entry there that you've had to kick down that door, Mr. Sebastian. So maybe you could tell me a little bit about what that process looked like, because that's a feather in your cap, pal.
That's a great question, Patrick. And honestly, I wasn't too sure how to go about it at first. And what it ended up being is just sending a couple emails within CMHA and saying, hey, listen, I have an opportunity to collaborate with you guys, and this is who I am. I experience mental health challenges. There's something that I want to do to give back to the community. Do you have a minute to connect and where I can chat in more detail? And we got on a phone call. Her name is Beth King. She's the fund development manager at CMHA Waterloo Moncton. Incredible, action, talented, all in the name of supporting mental health resources in our community. And she was able to get a couple of her colleagues on a call. And initially, when Andre and I presented the pitch, we thought we were just pitching to her, but we were pitching to a team of three ladies at CMHA. So it took us off guard a little bit, but we didn't falter in our step. We wanted to drive those main messages home and essentially showcase who we are as people, which I think is very important, regardless of it if it's a business setting or more of an outgoing setting. But this is our story. This is our brand. This is what we can offer, and this is what makes us unique. And these are our core values. And the one thing that I felt like I communicated that was very important was that when core values align, it's easier to make things happen that are mutually beneficial at the end of the day. And our number one mission, yes, we want to sell watches, of course, so Andre and I can make a living. But more importantly, we want to improve mental health resources and accessibility with every watch. So how can we do that? Well, our first step is partnering with, a nationally renowned organization for doing that, and participating in community events and donating a certain amount from them. Yeah. The list goes on, Pat. So. It was a couple of emails to sum it up, and the ability and opportunity to kind of showcase what we're about in a pitch.
Yeah, and you hit the ground running. Like really, you guys have done a lot of stuff. Not only I believe it's $10 a watch that you give to the Canadian Mental Health, but there's
And wait,
also organized,
that's 5% of the gross sale,
which is huge.
Like this isn't something, folks, that I'm getting you out of there. Look at that.
Yeah,
what I can do. Yeah, like 5% of any gross product.
Yeah,
is a fantastic amount of money that's going to be going and supporting this cause. And this is not an insignificant amount of money if we can get some traction behind this. And James and I had an experience earlier today. We were on a call with brand ambassadors. And what they were looking to do is they were trying to get in touch with us to promote some of these products, put our name, our branding, and who Soaring Profits is, and all of you profiteers out there. That's super important to us. Right. We've garnered traction. We have this fantastic group of people that follow us on Thursday nights and with financial fitness. And, some of the things that they wanted us to sling, it's like, it's not in our wheelhouse. You want to sell something that you're passionate about. And again, Sebastian, I go back to your story, pal. There's something uniquely beautiful about when you were in your darkest time, looking at that clock and going, next second, next second, next second. And then transitioning that into this beautiful watch brand that you and our lovely lighting girl has been able to the background story there. But be able to do that, but also 5% of the gross, like that's big stuff. I appreciate what you're doing. CMHA, as far as an organization, they are, for those of you that are Americans that don't quite know what that is our national body. That is as big as it gets here in Canada in the mental health association world. They are dealing with policy. They're dealing with all sorts of research. They are in the front lines of our mental health crisis here in Canada and in Western society, right? And as we go through this fight and as we're trying to find solutions, it's people like Sebastian. It's brands like Exodus that are going out there and pushing that big boulder up this huge hill. So those of you in America, you guys, you got about a 35-cent advantage on your dollar right now. Get off your wallet. Get in touch with Sebastian. You got the QR code beside you here. $199 is like $17 American. Get out your wallets. Buy a couple watches. Buy them for your office. All engraved. Sebastian will make sure they're all delivered for you. But by helping a guy like this.
Right now, he's thinking to himself, wait, do we ship to America? Like, how does that work?
But by helping somebody like this in their business, this is the small business. This is the entrepreneur that isn't just taking away. This isn't Walmart. These are the people that are putting food on the table. They're helping out in their communities. They're making a change and doing a difference. So get out your wallet, help and support these guys. Sebastian, tell me a little bit about the process. We go on your website, we pick our watch. What's that look like after that?
Yeah, so once you pick your watch, you decide whether or not you want an engraving. And it's as simple as that. Free shipping and click to purchase. We try to make the process as simple as possible for our consumers, rather. We just want to make it simple for people. We don't want to have a bunch of different buttons and complicated UI. It's easy to lose people. There's a lot of clutter these days and a lot of information overload. Simplicity is a big thing for us. We want to make it easy for people. We want to donate, money to CMHA. We want to make that an easy process. So the most complex part of our point-to-point transaction would be the engraving, essentially, and what you want. And we leave a note, essentially, if you want your engraving organized in a certain way, to just kind of leave a note for us, and then we can kind of contact them after the fact and have it done right, essentially. And what I can do is, once I have their contact information, I can do a mock design engraving of what they want and show it to them and say, is this what you want? And they give me the green light, and then I bring it to the CNC machine and get it engraved, which, by the way, I'm not an engineer, so building a CNC machine and then learning how to operate it was quite a learning curve for me. It was definitely a little tough, but I think I got through it. All I can do, though, is engraving. I can't do any. I see like some of the crazy projects that people can do with CNC machines that is way above my pay grade. I'm just here to engrave watches on a flat surface. That's it.
I love it.
When you were doing the design of the watches, were you thinking mental health in mind about what specifically you were looking at when you were ticking away those seconds? Was there anything in the designs of the two watches that were specific that maybe helped people, or that you thought, you know what, I want it to have this shape, this design, that it really, like, are there any keynotes that bring out that kind of mental health focus for you in your watches?
Yeah, that's a good question, James. Honestly, Andre and I wanted to have watches that we would wear ourselves and that were essentially kind of created for us. So we took some examples online essentially and gave it to some of our suppliers and got them to kind of make some mock designs and see what we want essentially. And we want to expand our product lineup, but we're focused on kind of focusing on two models, one for men and one for women. And we've actually found that it's interesting to say we've had female customers wear the black watch, which was started as our male watch, and then our male customers buy some of the Era watches, which are a gold watch, more catered to the female. So we've actually seen a crossover and demographics. So we're kind of transitioning to labeling them as unisex. But as far as the design goes, we wanted a level of simplicity for them. And then as we look to expand our product lineup, we want to do an automatic watch as well as one with a leather band. We want to try to expand, try to hit different audiences with what kind of watch they would like to wear. And we try to meet a certain level of standard, like using sapphire crystal in our watch designs. We essentially see what competitors are offering at a certain price point, being the $200 Canadian or $17 American price point, and seeing, what are the specs of the watch and how can we either meet or exceed them. And a couple of examples that I used was using the sapphire crystal as the glass, which is I think 4 times more scratch resistant than mineral glass. And then we use 360L surgical grade stainless steel for our bands. So as far as components go, we either exceed or meet the industry standard for our price point.
Well, they're obviously beautiful and sleek, and they're fashionable. Like I like dressing nice, as the profiteers know. I enjoy a good suit, and both watches fit in well with that. Like when I was looking at both watches, I was kind of, not that I've bought one yet, but I was thinking about one as I'm like researching who you are, what you're doing. I'm looking at the watches, going, I could wear either of those, and it would be good because they fit with a lot of outfits. I love the fact that you're, like he said, 5% price point, that $10, and you give that to CMHA, and CMHA does a lot Canadian wide, but they also do a lot in your own communities, in the community where we live, in the community where you live. And you have been doing a lot on the website. You have a great website. It's sleek. It's easy to go through. There's even a spot that it tells you how to fix the watch band. Not that you recommend it. You say right on it, go to a jeweler, because these are really nice watches. You should get a jeweler to size it. But you even go over how to do that. But there's also a section about our mission. And you talk about several missions that you've been a part of or that you highlighted. And one of them that caught my eye, because right now we're getting ready to do another Empower Youth event, which is highlighting Gen Zers and the things that they're going through. And some of it was mental health, how to properly use money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we're about to do another event April 4th with the Brighton app, which is an amazing app that helps people who are suffering from mental health feel, like you said, feel like they have a community, feel like they have some place to go to, but it's non-confrontational because you don't have to share your story right away. But you were talking in the green room about something similar in person for youth from 12 and I think to 20, you said. Could you tell us a little bit more about it? Because I think it's fabulous. I think every community should have something like this. And I believe it was Guelph University that was part of that. Could you explain that a little bit? Because I love this.
Yeah, of course. So what you're referring to, James, is the Grove, Grove Youth Wellness Hubs. There's a couple of locations within the Wellington County, one of which is a location on the University of Guelph campus. They opened up their newest location on Woolwich Street in Guelph, which is part of the new CMHC Waterloo Wellington building. And what they are, James, you kind of summed it up, is it's meant to be a one-stop shop for youth mental health. So what that means is it can either be a place to hang out and connect and have a sense of community for youth, or it could be more related to if there's somebody that needs, someone to talk to in terms of counseling, or they want to talk to a therapist and connect with someone on a more professional level, that is available to them at no cost. And what's beautiful about the Grove is they're partnered with so many other organizations that provide these services. Like they're partnered with, or they work with the Nightingale Center, which is a center that provides grief and bereavement counseling. They're partnered with Big Brothers Big Sisters. They are connected to so many other great initiatives and organizations that kind of create this holistic approach to providing wellness to its youth, and it's meant to be, like I said, one-stop shop, judgment-free zone for you to go and either hang out. They have PS5s and Wii's, or not Wii's, PS5s and Nintendo Switches, and have like a gaming room. They have like a recording room. They've had some youth like record TikTok videos and things like that. They have all these different themed rooms, and then they also have, those dedicated rooms to professional support if need be. So it's really an incredible facility, and I really hope to see the Grove expand its reach within Ontario, Canada, the United States. It's really incredible, and it's much needed in our day and age.
Yeah, I love so many things about that space. One, it's that point of impact that I always talk about on the Profiteers. The point of impact doesn't come every day. It doesn't come all the time. It comes, especially with youth, it comes at certain moments. And here you are, you're providing a space that you can just hang out. Come on in, play with the PS5, come do the Switch, come do some recording. And maybe that day you walk in and it's the worst day of your life. And some professionals there, and you can go, you know what? This is the day I need to talk to him. I've seen Bill. Bill said hi to me every day I've walked into this room. He's made me feel seen. I feel like I know him well enough now that I can walk into his office and go, Bill, I just need to talk to you. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it, because until someone trusts you, it's very hard to give that first, initial, I'm struggling. I'm really hurting. And I just think that's beautiful about it, that it provides a space for kids to hang out and then someone to catch them. Because there's a lot of spaces where kids can hang out. We have them in where we are right here, but they don't have that second piece where someone can catch them and help them. They don't have the professionals that will be able to help them. And I love that about it. Now there's some other initiatives that you're a part of. Do you want to tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so I help sponsor certain events like Shoppers Run, or not sponsor Shoppers Run for Women, but participate in Shoppers Run for Women. We sponsored what's called the McFadden's Movement Charity Celebrity Golf Tournament, and that actually was started by Garrett McFadden. He is an ex-Guelph Storm player who started his own not-for-profit organization called McFadden's Movement, and that's made to benefit mental health resources as well, who I think would be a fantastic guest on your show, by the way. Incredible guy, very, very passionate, and essentially has the same goals as me. He has his own unique story with mental health. He founded his own organization that has helped raise over $100,000, I think, to date over the past few years for mental health. So every year he runs a charity celebrity golf tournament, and the past 2 years we were the first place prize. We donated 4 engraved watches to the winners, and that has just been incredible atmosphere to be a part of, and seeing that event come together and draw so many people and businesses as well. Like it's not just Exodus that helps sponsor McFadden's movement. It's so many other local companies that care, right? And they they have their title sponsors and their contributions. It's so nice to see that kind of community come together, all in the name of help raising awareness and funds for mental health. So that is something that I'm always happy to be part of. And I recommend McFadden's, looking into McFadden's movement. If you are curious, I think Garrett would be a fantastic guest on your show. And I'm honored to essentially collaborate and work with people like him because I said it before, with helping raise awareness and accessibility of mental health resources, it takes a village. At the end of the day, you need to connect with people who have core values and just have a plan and execute it. What can we do to raise awareness and funds towards this towards mental health that's affecting so many millions of people in the world, Canadians, American, location doesn't matter, right? Mental health affects everyone in the world, right? So what can we do to help that?
Absolutely, pal. And again, talking a little bit about, I got a family connection with the Guelph Storm. My cousin Josh Wainman was a Guelph Storm for a number of years, was traded from the Erie Otters after playing with McDavid and winning an OHL championship. So Guelph has a special place in our family's hearts. When you have people like McFadden and what he's doing for the mental health space, partnering with the Storm with that experience that they have, and then you see again, Sebastian, I can't say enough praise about what you're doing. When they're hosting events and you're throwing $1,000 or $2,000 worth of watches their way, that adds up. That sits on a table at a silent auction and generates a lot of money for a cause that you continue to go to the well for. So, pal, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. Those of you out there, when you're sitting around, you're going, what can I do? How do I help? You get to vote every day with your dollar. When you go to Walmart, when you go to Amazon and you pick some generic watch brand, or you're going to Walmart and you see some big watch brand sitting on the shelf there, and you're shopping and you're choosing who you're supporting. You've got a guy like Sebastian. You have a brand like Exodus that is out here that is building your community around you and is really looking around and saying, we have an issue, we have a problem, let's fix this. You can be a part of that solution. You can truly make a change in your community. And how that works is by supporting these brands. 5% of the gross margin on these watches is going back to your community and helping these people out. You don't have to be a mathematician to realize that is a fantastic opportunity for the CMHA. These people need these funds. They need these partnerships. And guys like Sebastian and Exodus are doing it. Sebastian, I love you. I appreciate what you're doing, pal. I look forward to doing something with you in the future. And anything that we can do to help you, I'm with you 100%. Profiteers out there, always got something new and exciting coming down the pipe. We're going to be releasing a lot of our material that came from the Healthcare Amplified Summit at PodFest Orlando 2024. That'll all be coming out over the next little week. What are we, a couple weeks? Big one will come out this week, I think. Then we'll filter them out after that. But as always, folks, I love you. I appreciate what you're doing. And from me, folks, let's make some money together. James.
Yeah, Sebastian, man, I knew as soon as Lisa said that we should talk to you that would be a great interview. You're a hell of a young man who's changing the world in the right way. Everyone I know has been touched with mental health. Everyone out there watching this right now, if they haven't been touched with mental health themselves, they know someone who's going through it. And the biggest thing that you can help, and I talk about it all the time, there are two things. One is to help the person be seen, and the other is build a community. You're doing both of those things. Not only can I send a watch to a friend who's suffering and say, hey man, I'm there for you with an engraving on the watch, but you're also building small communities within your community where youth can get together, where you're helping with it, like you're helping spread awareness of it, and you're helping Canada Mental Health itself that is out there. Canada Mental Health helps change laws. It helps other communities grow their own shelters, and it's doing some great work in the community, and I love that. And I love that you're helping people be seen with your story. People can identify with the fact that a young man was suffering, and you talk about that suffering every second of every day, and that's very real for a lot of people. And you feel when you're in it. You mentioned it, when you're at the bottom of the mountain, it feels like you're all by yourself, that no one understands what you're going through. No one could possibly help you. There's no point in reaching out to anyone. And that's the wrong way about going about it. And Sebastian has definitely amplified that right now, that if you reach out, there's lots of support out there. There's lots of people that are ready to embrace you. And you know, I am. If you're suffering, you want to DM me, you want to send us a message here at the Soaring Prophets, and we can help you out. We'd love to. You want to message Sebastian, I'm sure he would help you. But let's get some of those watches sold. Get out there, buy some of these sleek, beautiful Exodus watches. They're gorgeous. And they also have a great message, and $10 of it goes to a great organization, the greatest organization for mental health in Canada. And I just think you're doing the right thing if you do it. Guys out there, Pat is absolutely right. We got some shows coming out, some great interviews with some high-level professionals. We even have maybe an interview with Mrs. American that's coming out, which is pretty exciting. The boys got to talk to her for a bit, and she's quite an eloquent speaker, and she had suffered a darkness herself that she kind of explains and talks about. And in the future, we get to talk to her again, and we get to explore that more. So look forward to that. And like I said, April 4th, 6 p.m. EST, we are going to have another Empower Youth event. And these events are so important to me. This is why we are linking with the Brighton app to do this, because we want people to be seen. We want other people to hear these stories, like the young man that's below us, so that you can go, you know what, I'm not alone. I'm going through something similar, and if I reach out, I can get help. So don't be alone. Reach out and get help. I love you all. Let's heal our minds, bodies, and souls together. Sebastian, here's your moment to shine. Here we go. I want you to look out there and tell us something inspirational, something that might help someone out there that might be going through their own personal darkness. And maybe before you do that, one more time, tell us how we get your watches, and then tell us about, you know, that personal thing that maybe can help someone who's going through darkness.
Well, James, this is going to sound a little funny, but I want everybody to go out there and fail. And what I mean by that is failure is the biggest teacher you will ever have in your entire life. And so many people are paralyzed by a fear of failure that they don't even try. And I think that's an injustice, truly, because if I thought that I was going to fail in kind of getting better, then, you know, I would have never got better, right? It's you, and when you do something wrong, you realize kind of what you do wrong, and you learn from that moment. So I always welcome failure in my life, and I think that our society is stigmatized against failure. It pushes you to be afraid to fail, you know, and it frees people. And, you know, if you're not afraid to fail, then you let failure define you well. And no, it's you learn from it. It's a great teacher. Don't be afraid to fail. Embrace failure. Failure will come. But most importantly, learn from the failure and kind of have that perseverance that good things in life often come with a challenge, and the good things in life take time. So once you realize, you know, that good things take time, then I think that will set you up for success. And if failure happens along the way, then welcome it, learn from it, and most importantly, keep going. You know, in time, things get better. That's what I always like to say. So, James and Pat, for having me, it was an absolute pleasure. pleasure to be on your platform. I totally am all about what you guys are about for people, you know, unveiling the stories of champions. So thank you both for having this platform available, not just for me, but for all the, you know, people watching right now and are looking to relate with a sense of community or just someone share their story. So
he's even got the branding down. What can I say? Sebastian, it was a pleasure, pal. Mark Reed, I know you got the existential crisis going in the comments here, pal. We appreciate you, but from us folks, let's make some money.